Hello, welcome to my channel. I did a Tuesday talk and work, kind of like a whip and chat, and I realized it cut off part of it. I think I might have lost my actual internet signal at that time. It looks like everything is up and running, so I'm going to redo this again. Also, it kind of went over the time that I wanted to do it, so we'll just go ahead and continue on and try this again. This is the project I'm working on right now. I've been working on Fringe earrings. Actually, I did one last week. I actually thought I started these in April, and I went back and looked at my picture, and I actually started these in October. So it's been a while, and I've been working on these slowly but surely. And so this is the one I'm working on today. And here are the beads that I'm using. These are all bead treasures from Hobby Lobby. Most of them are 11/0 seed beads, except for this is a 6/0 seed bead. Whenever I start these, I always create the base first. So this is the base for this one. And I come up with, a color kind of scheme, and then I just kind of go from there and determine the beads and stuff and what I wanted to do with it. So when I started in October, I actually had a bunch of different beads that I set out, just random pick, and so I can use up beads and use colors I don't normally do. And then I came up with what I wanted to look like, and like I said, I would start with the base first, do the base first, and then continue on with that. What I wanted to talk about today was this particular one that I'm working on right now. The reason for coming up with this color was kind of an odd thing. I was talking with my oldest kid the other day. They asked me if I'd heard about the egg recall, and I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that, so I went out and looked. I'm like, okay, well, they kind of changed what we were going to be buying this week for groceries because we had eggs on there. So I need to make sure that I'm finding the right ones. Hopefully the stores have already pulled everything. But so we're talking about that, and I was in the middle of making this, and I liked the colors, and it was so funny because when we were talking, I had those on my, on my little holder there, trying to decide what colors. I ended up putting those colors together because I like the turquoise and gold, and it was such a funny thing because the reason why I got inspired by this was because of this discussion about the eggs, and then all of a sudden I thought about my mother. In previous posts, I've talked about the fact that I don't talk to my mother. We've haven't talked to each other in like 4 years. That was her decision. She decided she didn't want anything to do with me or my children, those kind of things. And so I haven't really talked about her, and I haven't talked to her at all. And so for some reason she came up with my thoughts when we were discussing the whole egg recall and this and that, because in my mind the thought came up about when I was growing up. My mother, she was one of those women in that time, like I want to say mid to late 80s, where they did this layering thing with their perfume, where they take a bath with the soap and then put the lotion on and the powder and then the perfume on top of it. And she would do that every morning. And also every morning she would fry eggs for her and her husband. So I'd wake up to the smell of fried eggs and her perfume, and that stuck with me forever. I hate fried eggs, but I remember the perfume, and it was so funny because when we were talking about the egg stuff, this thought came into my head. It was that perfume and the box. The box was this turquoise and had gold like swirls on it or something. I don't even know what perfume it was. I just remember it was a really heavy smell, and the fact that she layered it, and then she'd be, cooking eggs in the morning. That's all I could smell is fried eggs and her perfume. And so I came up like, oh, turquoise and gold. So that's how I ended up with this color palette for these earrings, was because I thought about my mother and fried eggs. And so I just thought that was kind of weird. But yeah, that's how this palette came up. I initially started this yesterday. Then I had to take it out because I actually missed some of the colors. Like I skipped, or I had one too many of something. I missed the count. So now I'm finally moving along, and I've gotten, let's see, I got 5 of them going so far. I'm not really sure how many I'll get across here. I'm trying to get up to about here, so probably maybe 4 more. I'm thinking maybe 9 or 10 is what I'll be able to get across there, but we'll just have to see. But I thought I'd work on this while I have this going. Just take a few minutes to share that with you. That's how the inspiration came up for this particular beading project. Like I said, my mind just kind of goes wherever and comes up with random things. I just thought that was hilarious. That all because of the egg discussion, I thought about my mother and her perfume and that box and that color of that box, and that's how I ended up coming up with this color palette was because of that. So yeah, I do not eat fried eggs. I have no idea what perfume that was. I just remembered it was a lot. I can't believe women in that time period, that was a thing. Layering. I'm like, wow. I mean, because I'm not a perfume person. I hardly ever wear perfume. There's very few perfumes I've ever liked in my life, because I'm just not a makeup or, you know, perfume or any of those things. Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 1 more. But I've never done any of that. So I just thought that was hilarious. I forgot. 3. Okay, so on this particular one, real quick, let's share this. Okay, so I'm doing 3 gold, and then we'll do 10 of these. And I just try to do random sometimes. I think it's a little bit easier. Let's see, it's 10. I got 3, 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay, it's 10. So we got 3 gold, 10 cream color. I'm going to do 2 of these gold, 2 different shades of gold here. And then we'll do 2 blue. But yeah, I have no idea what that perfume was. It's stuck in my head though, and I cannot eat fried eggs without thinking about her perfume. It's terrible. But yeah, you know, I did not have a great relationship with my mother growing up. Her ex-husband, or her husband, not her ex-husband, that was her first marriage. Her husband did not get along with me at all, and as I was younger, I didn't live with her very much. I mainly lived with my grandparents, relatives. So when I did become finally start living with her, when I was like age of 9. Her ex-husband was very abusive. They had 2 other, I have 2 half siblings. I have 2 sisters, half sisters, and there was a big difference in how we were treated growing up, and that was one of the reasons why we ended up stopped talking to each other. I tried to get her help because she was having financial difficulties. I assumed that's what was going on. I involved my half sisters because I guess they didn't know anything was going on. And I was trying to get her some help because at the time I was on disability. I had just gotten on disability, 3, 6, 7. And the disability didn't pay me that much at that time. I was making like maybe $1,200 a month. And that was it. That was my only income. And I had to use that to pay rent and bills and car payment and all this other stuff. And so we've got 10, 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay. And so at that time I needed some assistance, and I always hated asking my mother or any of my family for any sort of help, because they were always, you know, anytime they were nice to me, you know, or I thought they were being nice to me, it always came with a string attached to it. Nothing was for just because they wanted to do something for me. It was always used to remind me later when they wanted something from me. Like, well, you remember I bought you this for your birthday, or I did this for your birthday, or I took you here, you know, and it was always really hurtful to me because, you know, I just wanted like a normal relationship with my siblings. I wanted to be able to just call them and talk to them and, you know, hey, let's go have lunch or let's go to a movie, you know, just have them as friends. And that just never happened. So, 2 seconds. Grab too many. There we go. And so that never happened. And so growing up, we were never close. My mother and her husband always made sure we didn't get along, really. They treated me differently than their daughters, and they didn't have the same expectations, and they weren't, you know, abused by him. And my mother saw everything going on, and she never stepped in. She never, made it stop or confronted him, or she never protected me as a mother. And as mothers, that's, as parents, really, that is your job, to raise your kids, protect them, help them grow up to be, good human beings. Or at least that's the expectation. And so I did not have that growing up. I did get that from my grandparents. I got that from my aunts and uncles and cousins, but just not my own parents. But so that whole falling out happened like 4 years ago. It was over money. She brought up all kinds of stuff, and my sisters jumped in on it too, and they decided they didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. I'm like, okay. And so yeah, that was it. After all that time and being accused of other stuff, and I'm just like, okay, just do whatever you need to do. And so that was the end of that. And she did try to contact me last year. I was actually on a phone call with my online relationship person, and we were talking, and she pulled up, and I told him, hey, someone's pulled up, just a second. And I walked to the door, and I'm still on the phone with him, and it was her. And she got out of her car. She's like, oh, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. I thought I'd come by and check on you. And I just told her to stop. And he's like, who is that? And I told him, I said, it's my mother. And he's like, why is she there? And I told him, I said, I have no idea. And then he heard her say, I said, well, I had told her, I said, well, you told me you didn't want anything to do with me or my kids, and to not talk to you ever again. So yeah, that's what you said. And she just turned around and said, oh, you misunderstood. And he heard that, and he kind of laughed. And he's like, well, did she really say that? I said, yes, she did. And I just stood there, and that's when she realized I was on the phone with somebody. And I said, yeah, you need to go ahead and leave. I said, because you didn't want to be around me. You didn't want to talk to me. That was for your words. And I said, so you need to go. And then when she realized I was actually talking to someone, and he was just like, is she leaving? And I'm like, I don't know. And then she was like, oh. And she just got in her car and left. And I was just like, okay, that was the end of that. And I was actually really mad at that moment, because I'm like, you can't just show up 3 years later and act like nothing happened. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. You didn't want anything to do with me. Didn't want anything to do with my kids. She still talked to my oldest one. She hasn't talked to the younger ones though. Those are her grandchildren, and she decided she didn't want to have anything to do with them either. So I'm like, okay, that's on you. I said, I also tell my kids that it's up to them if they want a relationship with her. I'm not going to force it, tell them they have to be around her. That's up to them. And so yeah, so that's what happened. And she does, like I said, she does talk to the oldest one every once in a while. They say that she calls to see what they're up to, and it's just, that's just how it is. And so I just kind of try to get over it, keep moving forward. It did hurt for quite a while, to know that, every time we had a falling out, I would walk away, not talk to them, then turn around and come back, and I was always apologizing, and I realized I needed to stop doing that. I wasn't the one that caused issues. It was always something with them, and I just need to quit apologizing for stuff I know I didn't do wrong, and quit trying to make peace with people that don't want to make peace with you. So it took a while. It took a lot. I had to go back into therapy after that whole incident with her, and go back through sessions again and talk about it and how it made me feel. And that was one of the things that my therapist brought up. It's like, well, you already knew how she was. You already tried over and over again to make peace with them and try to have some sort of relationship with them, and they just never see you that way. Then maybe it's time to just let that go. So I did, and like I said, it took a while. It still comes up occasionally. Sometimes I think, I would really like to have, sisters I could talk to and call, and now I just like, no, I need to learn to let that go and just keep moving on and do what I need to do. stay focused on what I want for myself. And so yeah, but yeah, sometimes those thoughts still come up, like with this whole fringe earring and these colors, this color palette coming up out of random. There's my timer. Okay, let me go ahead and finish this out. Let's see, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, so this is the effects of sometimes those thoughts coming up, random things, like this color palette coming up because I thought about her fried eggs and her really horrendous perfume. I have no idea what the perfume was. I just remember the color of the box. I always liked the box. Always thought the box was pretty. But yeah, sometimes you just have to learn to let those things go. Learn to let people go sometimes. Sometimes it's the best thing for you. Especially if they're not providing, they're not giving any value or adding any value to your life. They're just taking from you and never giving back. Then that's when you have to step back, look at your life, decide, and is it worth still maintaining contact with them or not? Sometimes it's not. So you make that decision for your own life. All right, so I completed this another row, as you can see, and then I'll go back through and tie it off the top and continue on from there. But yeah, I just want to take a moment to share that with you. This is a reason for the color palette and just a little bit more about myself. But I didn't really have anything else, any topics to talk about today, so I'm just going to go ahead and end this here and continue on and finish this up. Once I get all my fringe earrings done, because I still have several, like 1, 2, 3, 4 more left to make after this one, then the whole series that I started back in October will be done. Like I said, this is taking a while because my hands sometimes, thumb is tingling. I can't feel the needle sometimes. And then sometimes my hands are just really tired, my arm's tired, so I can't do a lot of repetitive motions. So but this is where we're at today on this one. I just started the first one. I got the bases done last night, and so we'll go ahead and continue on. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. If you like what you see, give me a like, subscribe, and share, and leave comments if you want to. And I will talk to you later. Have a great week.